Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we're discussing Eldrad's warning to Fulgrim, as we ask if it was the Phoenicians' great mistake. Spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from the Horus Heresy novel Fulgrim by author Graham McNeill. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, without spoilers, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. So yesterday, we discussed and analysed Fulgrim's meeting with Eldrad Ulthran during the Great Crusade. How for me, it was a fantastic glimpse at some of the best things about Fulgrim. A true viewing of him in one of his intended roles, the envoy and voice of the Emperor. How he alone of all his brothers excelled at the dual levels of diplomatic conversation, the calm veneer on the surface, and the battle of wits beneath. If you missed it, go back and give it a listen before continuing on, as it's really one of my favourite Fulgrim moments. The Phoenician as he was intended, in his element. However, it's the end of this conversation that I wanted to discuss today, as after playing along with the diplomatic game, with tension between the two forces rising, Fulgrim correctly realises that Eldrad has not gone through all of this effort to simply debate the morals of the Great Crusade, to end up fighting Fulgrim's forces, and so he casts away the charade and asks Eldrad what it was all for. What did he want? And this is where Eldrad would reveal his visions of Horus's fall, his corruption by the gods of chaos, and his betrayal of the Emperor. And we know the outcome of this. This warning would fail. So I really want to debate today if it ever had a chance, and if it truly was Fulgrim's great mistake, because I'm not so sure it is. So let's begin with Eldrad here. We know his intentions were genuine. Before the two delegations speak, as Fulgrim and his commanders are landing on Tarsus and approaching the Eldari delegation, we're shown a brief glimpse of Eldrad conversing with Kyrian Goldhelm, a Wraith Lord. And here we learn that Eldrad doesn't know if Fulgrim is the right Primarch to approach, because he can't see his future. He knows Fulgrim will play a big part in the cataclysm to come, but he just can't tell if it's for good or bad. So Eldrad is taking a bit of a gamble here, a roll of the dice. But I guess any Primarch he approached would be. It's not like Eldrad knows them, and he doesn't have his psychic gifts to provide the answers, as he so often might. And I think it's fair to say relations between humanity and the Eldari are probably the worst they've ever been at this point in history, with the Emperor's legions cleansing the stars and claiming the galaxy. For all the darkness of the Imperium's future, they tend to ally with the Eldari more often than not. So, Eldrad making the effort here, taking that chance, is undoubtedly well-intentioned, even if ultimately self-serving, by stopping the rise of chaos. Even humanity is preferable to that. Now, as I said, the warning and revelation of Eldrad's intent comes at the unwinding or unravelling of the diplomatic discourse, with Fulgrim ending the charade. And Eldrad prefaces his comments by acknowledging what he's about to say is not going to be welcome. Very well, Fulgrim of the Emperor's children, but I tell you now that you will not want to hear the real reason I desired to speak with you. No? Eldrad shook his head sadly. No, for it will anger you greatly. And I'm a bit divided on if this was the right move to make. Now, normally if you've got to tell someone some bad news that's going to upset or anger them, then sure, yeah, you do set it up with the word of warning. And Eldrad does indeed get Fulgrim'S agreement that he'll consider what he's about to say objectively. So perhaps it was the right move. But after all the pomp and circumstance of the diplomatic meeting beforehand, the charade of it perhaps being about Fulgrim'S forces being in their territory, it almost sets it up to come across as deceit to me. That perhaps Eldrad would have been far better served, literally saying right from the off, "Look, I know you don't know me. I know you don't trust my race, but your brother's on the verge of death. And something far worse is about to happen. Just warn your Emperor." But instead he didn't. He went through the whole song and dance beforehand. Yeah, maybe it was to try and judge if he should say something to Fulgrim or not. But I just can't help but feel a mistake was made right from the off. And by Eldrad, not Fulgrim. But with Fulgrim agreeing to listen, Eldrad reveals his warning, that the War Master lies on death's edge, betrayed by a counsellor, and the powers of chaos now battle for his soul. And this is where the second mistake of Eldrad comes in, trying to have a rational conversation in an emotional one. Everything Eldrad says is almost lost on Fulgrim as soon as he hears Horus is dying. "Horus," cried Fulgrim. "He is injured?" "He is dying," nodded Eldrad. "How? Where?" demanded Fulgrim. "On the world of Davin," said Eldrad. "A trusted counsellor betrayed him, and now the powers of chaos whisper lies wrapped in truth into his ears. They feed his vanity and ambition with a distorted vision of things yet to come." "Will he live?" cried Fulgrim, and Solomon heard anguish like nothing he had heard before. That's all Fulgrim cares about. It's the emotional gut punch reaction when someone you love is in that situation. That feeling of helplessness. It is of course a very human reaction. And perhaps that's why Eldrad completely fails to recognise it, or at least doesn't respond the right way. Or maybe it's simply Eldrad's own personality. But as Fulgrim reacts entirely emotionally to this revelation of his beloved brother, almost panic-strickenly asking if he'll live, that cry of anguish, Eldrad replies, "He will. But it would be better for the galaxy were he to perish." Now, I don't know if there's ever a time and place to say, "Well, I think it's better for everyone if your brother dies," to anyone, let alone a Primarch. But that was absolutely not it. All Eldrad saying that line does is cause an even greater emotional reaction in Fulgrim, and not for the better. Smashing the table with his fist, demanding to know why Eldrad would dare utter such a thing. And Eldrad responds with the truth, because Horus will betray them all and start a war against the Emperor. But it's too late by then, through his comments earlier. By not recognising the situation before him, all Eldrad has done is heighten the situation, provoke the reaction in Fulgrim. Yes, in this point in time, Fulgrim does possess his demon sword. Yes, the whispers and the corruption has begun, but not specifically here, not in this moment yet. This warning does not fail due to the corruption of chaos. If anything, it fails to the simple flaws of humanity. Up to this point, it is all just genuine human emotion. I don't think you can fault Fulgrim for that. Far from being Fulgrim's great mistake here, not heeding the warning from Eldrad, I actually think it was Eldrad's. He went about it fundamentally the wrong way. From the almost deception at the beginning of their encounter, for it having to be Fulgrim to say enough of this charade, to then not recognizing the import of just what he was saying, realizing the importance of just who Horus is. Not a war master, not simply a leader of armies, but a brother, the most beloved brother. The moment Eldrad said it would be better if he did die, the appeal was lost. Any hope of success gone. And that's when the whispers of corruption come in. This xenofilth means to sow the seeds of dissent among you. This is madness, roared Fulgrim. Now there's room for chaos. Now there's room for the demon to come in. The cracks of emotion to exploit. When Fulgrim was calm, rational, he had full control. There was nothing to exploit, no weakness for the seeds of chaos to work on. But through Fulgrim being stoked into anger, that's where the weaknesses come in. That's where the whispers can exploit. The Xeno's lying, kill him, lies. All just playing on and furthering the angered thoughts racing through Fulgrim's mind. As ever with chaos, their success comes on the seeds of doubt. Yes, the appeals continue as Fulgrim's anger flares, but it's too late by then. Fulgrim's anger is up, and in that state, you're never truly listening. And as Fulgrim draws his blade, the tainted effect of chaos hitting Eldrad psychically like a brick. It's over. The war has begun. Eldrad now certain Fulgrim's already lost, corrupted by the powers of chaos, and Fulgrim furious with the Xenos for their lies, their manipulation, and further stoked by the whispers of the demon. And yes, it's undoubted the corruption plays a part here. But honestly, for me, it was not responsible for this warning failing. It only ever had the chance to act when the situation was already well on the road to failure. Fulgrim is still Fulgrim at this point. He's not lost yet. Should he have heeded the warning? Yes, absolutely. But in a way he does. Fulgrim goes to see Horus for himself after. It's Horus who seals the fall of Fulgrim, not heeding this warning. It's Horus who sways his brother to his side. So no, I can't call this encounter with Eldrad as Fulgrim's great mistake. At least not fully. As I've said, I really see his reactions here as simple, genuine emotion. And if I'd have to put the blame on anyone for this failure, it would have to be Eldrad himself. Again, was it done with the right intention? Yes, absolutely, no doubt. But I do think he went about it in fundamentally the wrong way. That a genuine warning, short, fast, to the point, without all the other song and dance, would have had a far greater chance of being properly received. And I think the biggest mistake of all was Eldrad's lack of understanding of what it means to be human. As we discussed yesterday, clearly Eldrad has little regard for the Emperor's Great Crusade, and rightly so. But what he appears to have failed to completely grasp is the bond between the Primarchs. Yes, he realizes their positions, that they're sons of the Emperor, even that his warning will anger Fulgrim. But I think what he doesn't grasp is that it would hurt Fulgrim too. And it's that one comment when Fulgrim's flooded with nothing but concern, that just completely ruined it all. But it would be better for the galaxy were he to perish. I mean, it's a Rocky IV Drago moment there. You might as well have Fulgrim cradling Horus in his arms and Eldrad rocking the "if he dies" line. Cue the No Easy Way Out soundtrack and Fulgrim jumping on the motorcycle. It's by far the worst thing Eldrad could have said. For all the shock of the revelation, for all the incredulity of it and wariness even, the unlikeliness of it working, as I said, I really do think it still had a hope, a chance of being truly listened to, even with the mishaps of how Eldrad went about delivering it. But it was that one comment, whether through lack of understanding or just a desire to push the issue, that just ruined it all. And so, far from Fulgrim's great mistake, for me it was most definitely Eldrad's. Had it been truly listened to, Fulgrim could have gone straight to the Emperor. Instead, he went to see Horus himself, filled with doubt. The rest, as they say, is history. Fulgrim's fall, inevitable. But as always everyone, what do you think? Was Fulgrim's reaction to Eldrad's warning his great mistake? Or, like me, do you maybe see more Eldrad at fault here? That, considering everything at stake, he really could have done a better job of going about it. That his remark that it would be better for the galaxy if Horus died was a monumental blunder. Do you think before then there was still a chance that Fulgrim would have listened? That he would have at least taken the concern to the Emperor, which was all Eldrad was asking for? Or, given that Fulgrim's corruption and descent to chaos had already begun, do you feel there was no way that Fulgrim was ever going to listen to an Eldari? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.